Hello, welcome. Hey Lee, hey
Hey,
John, hey Christy.
Hey,
well,
So good to have you here. So we have loads of interesting viewers today, and we're going to talk about reMarkable. It's an it's a product really close to my heart, not only because you were a super early customer of Sanity, that of course makes you very special to me. It's also
of course.
we are landsmen, we are Norwegians. It's an amazing Norwegian startup. It's a very rare thing in Norway to have a hardware startup, which is like that's in itself is fantastic. And then at that, it's a consumer product. We have some amazing chip companies in Norway, but none of them are like consumer facing. But could you explain like what the product is?
I can. Lucky enough, all of us who work at reMarkable, we get the device. So I just wanted to show it. Oh, I need to turn off
Oh,
this foggy background for this to work, I think.
yeah.
So it's a device, like a paper
Yeah.
tablet. It's really thin and lightweight, and I use it every day. And I'm gonna be a bit brave, and I'm gonna screen share from the device so that you can
Nice.
see exactly how it works.
I love how kind of on the website you say that this is like it's like an iPad. It's only that it lacks a few key features that makes an iPad a worse product than this for creative work, right?
Yeah, well, the what we've been working on from the start is trying to create a what's it called, distraction free environment for you to really do focused work. So can you, yeah, I think this
Yeah,
should
we
work
see
now.
you.
that's
Yeah,
so cool. I love that.
so I can
Amazing.
just quickly say like how we started in 2013. We launched our first device in 2016 on Kickstarter. I think that was only just called reMarkable 1. And it
Hmm.
was the most, yeah, as you said, most popular hardware launched by a startup ever. And then we launched reMarkable 2 in 2020
Hmm.
with in March, just as the pandemic hit. And it got really, really great reception, and yeah, it was so popular that it was hard to get all the devices that were ordered out the door. So that was a really fun
What
experience, I think,
And what people
for
might
the people who were
not
here.
realize right now, as you are showing this, is that like that screen is e-paper, right? That's e-ink, and it feels like paper. So even though it like to us
Yes.
it looks like an iPad or something, it's actually like the huge thing is this experience of using this paper surface, right?
Yeah, it really feels like you're um, writing on a piece of paper. The
Mm,
sound, the friction with your marker, the pencil,
mm.
um, and the whole experience. It's a pity that my drawing skills or writing skills is so terrible.
They're fantastic.
I tried
They're
to
still better than mine.
I tried to actually draw. I did some notes earlier, and I tried to actually draw a unicorn. Look at that,
Ooh,
huh? Because
nice,
we became
nice.
a unicorn in 2022. so,
Exactly. That's so amazing.
so
And I'm so proud on behalf of the country and
yeah,
that you got there. No, it is so
yeah,
amazing. And also it doesn't have a web browser. You can't get notifications on it. It doesn't
no,
track your heartbeat. It doesn't
no,
interrupt you.
nothing. It's
Exactly.
supposed to just be a digital notebook. So you can
Exactly.
organize. It's just like, yeah, you can organize your notes in folders. You can, yeah, do whatever you'd want to do with all those stacks of notebooks that you have lying around, I'm sure, in a drawer or in your on your desks, or all the post-its. And there's lots of templates you can use for whatever purpose that's,
Mm,
yeah, you would need a notebook for. And
exactly.
you can create your own it's like a community that creates the templates as well, so they're
Mm.
quite extendable.
Does this
And
become
you can
also
use
searchable? Like, even though
well, you
okay,
have
sorry.
tags you can search,
Hmm.
but for all the text to be searchable, we would have to you have to convert all the text to digital text. You can do that. Like I can take this note and say hardware conversion to digital text, and then I think it would be searchable. But you can't. I don't know how it would be able to search through the handwritten text.
Amazing. And then,
Yes.
so you launched this, and then how do people discover and buy this?
Yeah, so we only sell. I just wanted to stop sharing.
Oh yeah, I have the power.
There we go. There we go. Yeah. Oi, and Simon disappeared as well. We only sell our device through our website, or no, we don't. We sell the vast majority of the device through the website. So recently we launched Best Buy and other select stores, but the majority of the devices are sold through our website. So that has been like a conscious decision the whole way to own to kind of completely own the whole value chain and also how we kind of tell our story about the device. So that's been really important. And now when we do go into retail and physical stores, we can really like get to decide like the terms of that change. So if you've seen our product in some of these physical stores now, you'll see how we have this custom built display unit. We've had pop-up stores created by Snøhetta, which is another Norwegian architecture firm that's pretty successful. And yeah, that has been a really important part of reMarkable's journey.
No, so kind of, sorry, Lee, go ahead.
No, it's totally fine. I was just going to say it's safe to say that the e-commerce experience, your digital storefront is really a key part of the business, considering the majority of your sales are coming from there.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's how we've become how we've been able to be as successful as we are, and also being able to customize pretty much every single part of what we do has been really important. So we obviously use like payment providers and like we don't do everything ourselves, but we do the whole like all the we implement everything ourselves. We lean on APIs and whatever, but we like everything you see on the website is built by us.
Exactly. So you had started with Sanity really early, and now before your time, I think both of you probably.
Yep.
Exactly. Yep. So of course, no one knew how to do structured content back in 2019. So you are kind of catching up to that now. So you're investing a lot right now. And what are your goals at this time?
It's really important for us, or one of our main issues, I guess that's how we've kind of ended up with wanting to do this change, is we see how dependent we are on each other when we work. Like we would like content people to actually work with content without having to wait for a developer to be available to get stuff out on the website. The same with things being kind of iterated on in design for a very long time before we get to kind of like implementing it and checking out how it actually works on the website. So it's being able to work better together, I think, is like a very strong motivation to try to build more flexible systems so that we can so we're not so kind of dependent on the correct people being available at the like the time when, like if we have a more flexible content platform is the hope. The people working with content are better able to set up pages and kind of at least start trying to build what they want to communicate without having any developers involved.
Exactly. So it's both a editorial experience and also the kind of developer experience, and basically having autonomous teams in a sense, like having people be able to
Yeah.
solve their own problems.
Yes. Definitely.
That totally makes sense. I think that's something I've talked to a lot of folks about as well too, who are undergoing this this transformation to kind of have a headless tech stack and kind of bring in this kind of composable architecture. And I would love to, while we're kind of zoomed out, just talking about the larger problems y'all are trying to solve, can you kind of just like walk me through that journey where you've been evolving this technology? What were the core things you mentioned around, you know, kind of collaboration with your team as well too, but were there other I guess problems being solved by the technology that you decided, you know what, we're going to invest in modernizing our stack?
Yeah. So the project is actually quite a few years old. It was created in 2019. And it was we started with Gatsby and Sanity as the technologies, and there were quite a lot of like the company grew a lot, so a lot of people went through the project, and a lot of stuff was created. And onto the 2022, we had quite a few reasons to modernize our stack, and one of those things was definitely the development experience and performance. And we saw a lot of slowness. Like our dev build would take 1 minute and 40 seconds to start, and sometimes we would have to start it a couple of times. That is one reason. The second reason is that we saw a lot of magic happening in the framework, and coupled with the fact that we already have quite a lot of stuff in the code base, this magic had magic, meaning that things happened, but we were not quite like it wasn't always very easy to debug the things and understand how they worked internally. So this was yet another thing, another reason to modernize the stack, and really wanted both the content people and developers to be able to work more autonomy, give more autonomy to both groups. And developers, we would like them to also be able to work more freely. Yeah, so those are some reasons. And there's yet another reason is that when we just started, very much of our content was just statically built pages, while as it evolved, we utilized more and more dynamic content, and we had to render pages based on user input. And we saw that Next.js was a very good thing to integrate, and like this plays together with our Sanity upgrade later. So these are some of the reasons why we wanted to.
Yeah, maybe just to, I love that. Maybe just to read that back, and correct me if I'm misunderstanding any of this. It's in the move to Next.js and Vercel, there was a couple things you wanted to solve. One, you wanted to kind of shift from static to dynamic and have a really personalized and customized experience for your customers. Two, you wanted to make the workflow between your teams faster, and that really ties into how you integrate with Sanity. And then third, you wanted a better developer experience, not only in how long it took builds, you wanted to speed up your builds, but also local iterations when you're making changes on your local machine. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Nice. So, okay, so you've addressed that there's some things that you'd like to improve. You have an idea of the end goal and the solution you want to get towards. How did you kind of de-risk that, that large change you wanted to make and kind of incrementally move over to this new world? How did you kind of, quote unquote, eat the elephant, as they say?
It was definitely a very complex thing to undertake, change out the core framework that builds our whole site as we continue to evolve, because it is a very big task in itself. And to add complexities, the fact that we need to keep the website working, and there were quite a lot of other teams that continually added new content to the site. And so our approach was to split this process in two. Firstly, we would try and morph or modify the structure of the current website as much as possible to prepare for the change. And then we started our development in a separate branch, and we had to keep it alive and merge the changes from the existing live websites back and forth and solve all the conflicts. So it was quite a fun and big project, and it took us about 6 months in total before we could flip the switch and connect everything back together. Yeah.
But we managed to do so much, though, just reshaping the old project. So
Absolutely.
from we only lived in a separate branch for about a month and a half, I think.
Yeah, that's correct.
While we kind of reshaped the old project to look like a Next project in place without changing the framework. And that was we didn't know it was going to work, but yeah, it was a great learning experience on how to do that kind of change. And we've done it with a couple of other things recently as well, the same approach. We've kind of, before swapping shit out, we just reshape it and then do the last little bit, so we don't have that issue with the long living parallel branch.
That's an interesting approach. So you basically use your old framework, you make it look like the new framework, and then you swap the actual engine?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a nice theme here, I think, which is the great thing about React as a visual language for your front end experience is that even when you're invested in a different framework in the React experience, the transition and the incremental move over to others, it's a lot more of an incremental process than, say, rewriting in Scratch from PHP, for example. So I think that's a really great thing about this new wave of technology.
I totally agree.
Yeah. Yes.
So that was super helpful for me to understand the developer side of the migration, but I'd also love to hear more about, you talked through wanting to really improve the iteration time for content editors as well too, and want them to work more closely together. So what did that look like when you have Next.js, you have Vercel, you have Sanity, and you want to kind of combine these worlds together and then give the content editors the best experience they can kind of possibly have?
You want to take this, Christine?
Yeah, yeah, I can. So we kind of did this in two chunks. So to us, it's like a little bit, it's two-sided. So first we did the changing of the front-end framework, and now we're in the middle of reshaping Sanity. So just when we were changing out the framework, being able to get the preview builds with the SSO, like automatic or like magic out of the box authentication for everyone in the company, and also the preview comments have been a great tool for us to collaborate, and a very easy way for us to push out changes and to say, hey, you just need to log in, and then you can just comment straight on the solution, and then you get the designers get to test responsiveness and test a lot of things that you don't necessarily test in the same way in Figma. So that has been one aspect that's like been really, and before, like when we started this transition, there were preview builds, but there weren't any like the preview comments functionality. So that was a very like great addition to the framework.
I haven't. Maybe some of our audience members haven't seen that in action yet. But like the preview bar, it allows people to comment, and then the developers. Like, how does that work? The workflow. So you push out a preview build, and then what happens?
Yeah, you have a PR. It generates a preview build, and anyone who are in the, like, we're on an enterprise plan, and so then you get like SSO authentication and stuff like that. So all the designers and the stakeholders, they can just get sent a link to the preview build where they log in, and then there's like an extra layer on top of the website. Kind of, there's a little bar at the bottom, and then you can see all people's comments, and you can just press anywhere on the website and leave a comment. You can take pictures, you can draw. It's a really handy feature.
Can I just interject for a second? One other fantastic
Yes.
thing about the previous builds that we discovered is that they're very customizable. So there is like often this case where you want to build a custom feature or maybe connect to another data set. And with preview builds, it was super easy to configure this particular branch with this particular set of features and configurations. And then it's shareable for anyone, so nobody has to run this preview build development bin locally. Everything is available.
Exactly. So for people like a lot of us, I think Lee's is in the same camp. We like a lot of the design work. The really important one actually happens in the code. The Figma is fantastic, but like you have to leave it pretty early. And then now, kind of with preview builds, actually your living code becomes like a Figma sketch, and people can comment and interact on that. Is that
and I think it really helps people see how it's possible, because when you talk to people about like, can we please use Figma for sketching, and then like leave it at that? Can we please not make these fantastic pixel perfect sketches before we move on?
Exactly.
Like there's a lot of people who has never, like, they've never experienced like that kind of workflow, and I think the preview builds and the comments really help with like, and it's so easily accessible as well for them. They just use.
So you get comments from maybe more stakeholders probably than you would either, like in exactly.
Definitely. And I know that they use it because they send me a message like, how do I get in? Like, how can I see this? How does this work? And I'm like, I'll show you.
So it goes viral, like your feedback mechanism goes viral in the company. That's amazing. That's what you want.
It's great. It really works well.
So at Sanity we talk a lot about I don't know if we took it from your name, but like we keep talking about reMarkable experiences. We feel like that is kind of the end goal, basically, of everything you do when you communicate. You're trying to leave a mark with people. You try to leave them with something that kind of builds a connection, and I feel that's kind of like where we started out in this conversation as well. That's kind of what this is all about. And I think that the commenting kind of feature just shows like sometimes very technical things, very low level things can be super important in enabling a team to deliver that experience to the end user. So which is what it's always about anyway. Like but I'm thinking that's one of the things I think is amazing with your current communication is that your product is in a sense not shareable. Like you can't see the paper texture, you can't see the lack of notifications, you can't, like, none of those things can actually be shown. So it's all about storytelling. I feel like is that true? And how do you work with that?
How we work with that, we have amazing people at reMarkable who create lots of incredible content. But then again, it's our job to try to get that out on the website and make empower people to push it out to the people, like, in a good way, right? That is kind of what's been also a part of the problem, and like what we're trying to address. Now, because a lot of how we've built things, it's been very static, like the front page. It's like the way it works in Sanity right now, it's like it's very coupled. Like you have someone's added a section, and then that section is only used in that place. It's and also in the front end, like obviously we reuse. We have built a design system for like the bare bones atomic kind of elements, but like that section, that is only there. And then if you want to do that again, you have to rebuild it somewhere else. And we see that we rebuild things a lot. How the content is structured is not very intuitive. It's kind of hard to know where to go to put new things and to change what we already have. So we would like to have like a way to work with our content that kind of empowers people to really to make it easier to tell that story. So yeah, I don't know if you want us to show something.
Yeah, because I
or-
feel like what you're talking about in a bit is like in the old way of using a CMS, and you kind of used Sanity as an old style CMS, which is fair. It's very often what happens with new kinds of products. They start out, the computer started out as a better typewriter, and Sanity starts out as a better WordPress. I guess that's fair. So in the beginning, you have your templates, and you slot in pieces of content from your content, and every time you need to do or change something materially, back to the developers and designers. And then what we have been advocating, and what I know you are all about, is kind of having the content drive the experience, so that when you change your content, the experience changes as well. And I think you have kind of started like working on that with some parts of your experience with the more personalized sides. And that's what I would love to see.
Yes. So we started making custom landing pages. We have super specialized, like we have specialized ads that lead you straight to a custom landing page, and then onto the website. Maybe I should show that first and then take it from there. Kate, do you want to play that 10 things?
It's our behind the scenes team.
Yeah, so that is 2 of those ads, and I'll just show you the custom landing page of the last ad. So these are ads that that is obviously from social media, as you see the phone or the mobile view. Just need to find the right tab. There we go. And an ad like that will take you straight to a customized landing page, where we really try to drill down like a message, and also the ad is targeted. So this isn't, I have to say, this isn't my specialty, but I would assume that this is for typical like knowledge workers who where we're trying to show them how they can use the device in their workflow. And this is kind of this kind of page is our first attempt at trying to wait, a little glitch there, empower the content creators to build more build pages as they see fit for the different ads and the different purposes. So this is for the one ad, and then for the Stephanie Dunson, it's a bit of a different feel. There's no numbering, but it's still, it's still a template. It's still quite similar, but you can choose between like numbering. Oh, did I not share that? No, I didn't share that.
No, we're still seeing the first page.
Yeah. Here's the other one.
Nice.
Here it is. So here's the other custom landing page where.
So this is the softer version. This is not like this is like a different personality type that are targeted in this.
Yeah.
It's an earthy person. Yeah.
So this is one of our one of the, I don't know if you call it influencer, but one of the people we have who kind of promotes the product as well. And she speaks to a bit of a different tone of voice.
I like the design of these pages a lot.
Sorry.
They're nice. I was just gonna say I'm really curious because these pages turned out fantastic. Kudos for the great job here. What was it like? Was this even possible before without a lot of extra work? Like, is this new tech stack really enabling you to create experiences like this, not only faster but also a better outcome now because of that?
Yes, because we're so much more in control if that's the right thing to say, but we can move a lot faster after, like, it's a result of many things, but like just cleaning up and sticking to a much more set structure of how we organize the website. That's the one thing. Lets us quicker set up the more dynamic things like this as well, because we don't have to drag all that technical debt the whole time. So I think the first iteration of these custom landing pages was done in like a couple weeks, if I remember correctly, which was like a real like testament to how us kind of freshening up our tech stack has really let us work in a much quicker way. And then also on the Sanity side, when we set this up, we set it up separately from this is still in the old project, but we set it up separately from the old mess, basically. So so we've like, this was our first take on trying to make something dynamic. So here the content creators can choose themes, they can choose, they can drag the elements around, they can choose if they want to do videos in the header and in the body, and or images or background image or foreground image, or they have a lot more flexibility in how they create their content, and it's been really successful. I don't have the numbers in my head, but we see that we get a lot more traffic through the site if when we're using more like targeted ads with these custom landing pages.
So now someone can actually just spin up a new landing page like this without any developer involvement, right?
Yeah. And
exactly.
there are so many.
We get so many questions about page building and Sanity. Are you able to show any of it, or is it kind of, do you want to avoid the old mess?
We've actually recently we've started on the new project, so I was thinking maybe Jon could show the new version instead of showing the old stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be glad to share.
Well, while you're pulling that up, I just love the page building use case because it's so empowering for teams. Like, I think there's this fear for a lot of organizations that every time I want to try to create a new output when I'm inspired, I'm going to have to spend a lot of developer time. And it's like, no. We've invested up front in this system. Now any content editor can scaffold any idea they have and really experiment with it.
Yeah, I think that's a great point.
Yeah, definitely. And it's something, but it's a hard nut to solve. You don't probably don't say that in English. Like it's been a bit difficult to wrap our heads around that in the universe of Sanity, to be honest, because it's so But Jon, take it away.
It's a very normal way of thinking and working, and so far we've been we've achieved quite a few cool things. So this is just a prototype, so some of the styling and layout is a bit rough, just ignore that. But there are two things that I'd like to showcase here. And the first one is that the preview functionality. In a new Sanity project, we really strive to provide a good implementation of preview for all of the content where it makes sense to have it, because preview really sets the really frees give a lot of freedom and security to people who work with content. So as an example, this is a very small type of content, which is just a kind of section with image and text. And we try and build a preview for that so that the people who create this content can immediately see how it will look in the end result. And we do this for all the schemas and types of content that we make. And here's an example of preview to the custom landing page that the content creators will see when they create a new custom landing page. Another thing to highlight in this demonstration is the concept of reusable pieces of content. So take, for example, this previous landing page, and where we like a particular piece of content that we want to share and reuse in a new custom landing page. For example, this section with goes to place for all notes and documents. And we can do that with the way we structure the content in a new project. We would just add that piece of content into the sections here. So
and maybe to, while you're explaining that, to fill in the gap, one of the really cool things here is that the entire studio is customizable, and you're able to define your content really however you want through code, giving you the flexibility to do stuff like that. Is that right?
And everything here is flexible, and and really it is quite easy to build, which is nice. So all of this is customizable, and all of the experience with how the studio is structured is also customizable. And to continue on this preview thing, like I personally, this was a absolutely like wow moment for me, and it just feels fantastic to edit the content and see the changes, how it will look like in the actual website in real time. And this is the end of my demo. But,
and here you actually have what I love about this, not a lot of people get to this point. I feel like you have reusable content blocks, so you can kind of, when people are assembling new landing pages, you can kind of reuse kind of pre-made blocks. And basically, usually you have like 700. If you do this properly, you have 700 landing pages that are almost, but not quite the same, and they're different in very important ways. This is what you support here, right?
Yes, and another aspect of that is that these pieces they can respond to context. And for example, when I changed the theme of the page to a light one, it would also look good in the new context.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you have kind of, because one thing you talked about, Christian, and you showed now, John, is this kind of, because we get some questions about that, like Sanity is customizable, but it's developers doing the customization. And we're like, yes, but done right, you do exactly what you've done. You spend that energy making sure you automate whatever, like saying, let's say redesigning those blocks based on some styling preference, or reusable blocks and stuff like that. Making sure that what the content creators need to worry about is everything that has to do with their job, and then you automate everything else, and then you put all the tools in their hands, and that's what you use those tools for.
Yeah.
Are you able to show the Vercel comment stuff as well? I don't know. I actually haven't seen a fully mature implementation of it. Maybe it's a stretch. Sorry for putting it on the spot here. This is live, by the way. So this is
not. I got it. I got one. I went and found one right now while you were demoing.
Nice. Love it.
But I just need to check to make sure that.
Of course.
Yeah. You don't want to share the new secret
point.
sauce brewing in the background. Yeah.
No, but this should just be nothing. There's probably some people sweating now around the office. 2 seconds.
While you're pulling that up, I think there's a cool, I know we're getting closer towards the end here. While you're pulling it up, something that's really exciting for me is I think there's been so much innovation on the content side as well as on the front end kind of cloud side. And it's really cool thinking towards how Sanity and Vercel are we're going to keep working to make this experience even better for y'all and for other customers. And this future of kind of what you're seeing right now, being able to like actually comment on the pixels on the screen, the underlying React components, and really have, even deeper integration into your content layer is something that's super exciting for me.
Yeah.
So as you kind of now are on your journey, you kind of completed your transition to this improved framework, and now you are clearly figuring out structured content. Where do you want to go with like the whole experience? Can you talk to that?
So I think the main ambition is to actually set the content people free and make their work as easy as possible and make it as like safe as possible so that they can be creative. And the same for developers. It's also an important point because when much of our content now is very coupled and very generic, and it's a bit hard to prototype new stuff. And when the content is structured well, then our ambition is to like our aim is to make it easier to prototype new things, to combine the well-structured content in new ways, and to produce something new from that. If that is a way to answer the question.
Yeah. Kirsty, do you have anything to talk about there, like in terms of your longer term ambition on the? You talked about maybe I should be more specific. You talked about how. So I think it's amazingly like you kind of hit upon the right nerve in terms of it's about empowering the content creators to talk to their audiences. That's kind of the goal of the whole endeavor. But then where do you? So now you have your blog, you have your landing pages. Where do you do you go a similar direction with your? Do you have like you probably have guides and like content marketing stuff? Like where are you going? Some of this might be you might not even know, and you might not even want to talk about it. But like, what can you share about that?
Well, right now we're I think the main focus right now is trying to structure our content in a way that will work today and in a year, so that everyone that builds any like web surface, customer facing web surface for reMarkable feels confident that to change stuff and to like just to know how to like as you say, like we have what I showed you, custom landing pages. We have using reMarkable, which is a space that like where we show our customers how to use the device. We have a blog, and then we have the more product centered part of the website. But we also have a logged in area called My reMarkable, which doesn't use a CMS at the moment. And we would like to build a structure in Sanity, and maybe we would like to build a structure in Sanity that works for all these platforms and maybe other platforms that we are gonna build. And that's kind of like our focus. And then as part of that work, it's really important that it also, as Jon said, gives the people who work with content the freedom to work in the in the solution or in the project directly, and not as is right now a lot of Figma sketches and a lot of iteration there. I think that is like the two main things that that is really important for us.
Yeah, that's amazing. So this is like kind of back to the beginning. We're kind of we are soon out of time, but I think we forgot to talk about some of the amazing, just like we talked about how seemingly low-level, boring technical things impact our ability to be creative. And some of those things are build times. And like, I don't think we just talked about how dramatic those numbers were that you kind of were able to achieve.
That change was absolutely dramatic and worth highlighting, because prior to the migration, our build would take like development build, an operation that most developers do tens of times a day. It would take 1 minute and 30 seconds, and that went down to just 3 seconds. That was an absolutely dramatic change that improved the lives of all the developers.
And that was on a fast machine. Some people reported it was like 3 minutes 30. Yeah. And before that, it was even longer when we were pre-optimizing some images and stuff on every build. So yeah.
And that makes working with the project so much more pleasant. And also, production build improved quite a lot, but from 6 minutes to just 40 seconds. And that means
6 minutes to how many seconds?
40
Your
seconds.
microphone was
40
seconds.
Yeah.
40 seconds.
That was very nice.
Nice.
Exactly. That kind of flow that you get when you have that speed. So that's that is mostly due to the move to Next. Like we will not take credit for that in Sanity, but we have similar stories where when you give people the right tools, we just came from a story about moving from a more kind of tabular oriented CMS to Sanity, and like the content people not creating content because it was so painful, and then suddenly they got the kind of correctly structured tools, and they just started creating content because it was fun. So like those things matter a lot, even though they seem sometimes mundane.
Yeah, it's also the data that we fetch for like the performance of the pages, like how much data. I don't remember. Didn't we have some numbers on that too? Like how much we managed to reduce the data fetching per page.
Exactly, because while migrating the Next, we from the previous framework to Next, we changed from GraphQL to Grok, and that allowed us to filter out a lot of data. And so on almost all of the pages, the data amount that we would fetch from the database went 75% down. And that is because it was so much easier to filter out on all levels and to shape the data from the database with Grok. And
that was Grok. So that we will take credit for, Lee.
Grok deserves a lot of praise. I think a lot of the developers in the department now almost don't notice it, and that's what is beautiful. It just works, and it's very easy to get the data that you need. While previously with GraphQL was some work to shape the data query exactly how you want to do it. There was a lot of more limitations. While with Grok you can do the shaping on any level.
I feel like that's really worth underscoring because, sometimes when people talk about GraphQL as a means of only sending the kind of smallest amount of content for a specific query, in theory, that makes a lot of sense. In practice, it's sometimes a little bit harder to do. And I think that one thing that I like about solutions like Grok is they're kind of purpose built to focus on, like you said, like helping you get the most streamlined queries possible, and being like, a flexible, expressive language as well too. But yeah, it's an interesting thing where like maybe the what seemed obvious is not always obvious when you put it into practice.
Exactly.
Amazing.
It was also, we had too many layers of data from how we've structured it. So it's like a complex, or like there's lots of things playing into it. But only being able to filter on the top combined with a deep data structure was not a good idea.
And also reuse of subqueries. It is somehow much more easier with Grok to reuse pieces of queries.
That's fantastic. Any last words? Anything we didn't cover, Kirsty, John, Lee?
I don't think
we're
so.
on time.
Yeah, this was fantastic. We really appreciate y'all joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Yes, thank you, Christian. Thank you, John. And thank you for the great product that you are also contributing to getting in the right hands.
I need to go buy.
And thank you for letting us be a part of that.
Yeah. Well, it was great to be here. Thank you so much for inviting us.
Of course.
Thank you.